Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and we're back here with Buzz Aldrin, Space Program Manager, Part 9, I believe. What I want to do here in this episode is take a look at our 3 crewed spacecraft, the Soyuz 7KOK Earth orbit, and we're going to launch our first orbital flight with astronauts on board. We've got enough flight controllers finally free after the last missions ended, and we're going to go ahead and get these guys assigned. Some of them are excellent. Some of them are not quite as good as I would like, but I'm hoping that everything evens out. You know, we've got a lot of guys in the 90s here, a few newer guys down toward the, looks like maybe 70s or 60s or what have you. But overall, a very reliable flight crew here. We can see only one guy below 70, so that's a pretty reliable flight crew setup. We're going to go ahead and get our cosmonauts in here, of which are pretty much fairly inexperienced because everyone always dies, at least on our last mission. We did a orbital flight with an unmanned crew on the last turn, so we'll go ahead and launch that mission. I would also like to go ahead and consider maybe further Venus probes, but not right this moment. You know, we don't need to jump into that quite yet. I'm not sure if there's anything else I want to open up or do at the moment. I don't think so. I think the main thrust of this is now just getting these missions out of the way and going to the moon. So let's go ahead and end the turn and jump right in here to quarter 2 of 1970. You can see we've got some research projects underway. We've already got a Venus orbiter underway, so we'll go ahead and let that thing play out. It's in its 4th out of 6 turns. And yeah, anyway, guys, I may have made that a real brief intro, but I really do appreciate you tuning in here. Historical Gamer, obviously, as I said. And let's see what happens here in this this video. So another successful turn for the Venus orbiter. Who really cares about that? This is the one that really matters. This is with our humans who are trying to get into orbit and land safely. The last time we tried to launch this mission, they died on re-entry. I believe the parachute failed, if my memory serves me right. So hopefully we won't have that problem again as we go through the launch preparations for the N1 rocket. Yeah. So as the rocket roars to life, one thing that really kind of struck me is I don't think we've had, and I'm probably jinxing myself bringing this up right now, I don't think we've had a booster failure in the entire time. Why did I say that? Why did I say that? Why did I say that? Oh my God, thank you. Why on earth would I say that in the middle of the launch phase when the booster is launching? As I was saying, though, I don't think I can jinx this any more than I already have. So I don't think we've had a single failure of an actual booster where it blows up on launch. And to my knowledge, really, how many failures or problems is this mission going to run into? Anyway, so I'm not sure, has there ever been, to my knowledge, there actually has not ever been a launch where astronauts were taking off in the launch phase of a mission where the booster was going and the rocket failed catastrophically. Everything always seems to kind of be in the margins of the, you know, the mission. Like the Columbia was during re-entry, failure in the heat shield. The Soyuz 11, was it? 12, 13, something like that, was during re-entry. They had separated from the space station they were at, and there was a problem with the seal, which caused another failure, another success, which caused the seal to depressurize the spacecraft. Apollo 1 was on the launch pad. There was a failure during a training mission. The Challenger, oh my goodness, how could I forget? Okay, so I'm an idiot. I said that there's never been a failure in the launch phase, despite the fact that there was a failure during the Challenger launch. That's, oh, how could I forget about that one? So yeah, the Challenger launch is the only one that I can think of where a launch occurred and there was a catastrophic failure during the launch. Interestingly enough, the Challenger, the space shuttle, was originally designed with some kind of proposed escape capsule, but that was nixed for, I don't know why, but there was originally a emergency escape plan for just that eventuality if the spacecraft would have a catastrophic failure. I don't know if it would have been able to save the crew in the event of that rocket explosion because it happened so rapidly. But interestingly enough, you know, the crew, or at least several of them, did survive the explosion and probably passed out before they hit the ocean. But that's certainly when they died. Is that the crew capsule of the Challenger actually survived the explosion, and several of the astronauts supposedly, or it's indicated, had survived the explosion and basically passed out due to a lack of air during a 2-minute free fall after the explosion. But we can see here the U.S. successfully did a Pioneer Sun orbiter. Okay. Meanwhile, we got our first orbital success with the N1 rocket. So we've got a whole bunch of flight controllers coming back free from training. So we're going to go ahead and launch another 3-man capsule into space. We're going to try and get as many of these missions done as we can. We've already done some early duration levels. I don't know if there's a penalty here. Can we do that? Can we get them into space? Yeah, okay, cool. No penalties if we just jump ahead. So we'll go ahead and do that because we've already done that to some extent. We've already done the duration level 3 or whatever this is. So it's kind of a redundant... Well, actually, wait a minute. Claire, cancel mission. Yes. Okay, let's go back a second. Duration level 3. There's got to be a penalty. Component average reliability with penalty, 93%. So no penalty, really. Because we've already done some of these missions. All goals granted by this mission have already been achieved. Okay, so if we jump ahead to this one, duration level 5, that's going to be a new launch here. So that'll be the longest duration that we put people into space. So it makes sense to go ahead and schedule this mission. Go ahead and assemble it. And we've got several guys who are free out of training now, so we should have a little bit better of a makeup of our ground controllers. You can see there are lots of high 90s, lots of mid 90s, even low 90s, and lowest one we have so far is 86. Okay, so we've got one guy at 70. Oh my goodness, 66%? Are you kidding? That's the best guy we can have at flight? Okay, so we've got the weak link is A flight and flight. Everyone else is pretty darn strong. And our other cosmonauts are currently resting or what have you from either last mission. You can't do 2 missions in a row. So these guys are going to get their first 3-mission flight. We'll go back and schedule that mission. Meanwhile, we'll just let the Venus probe finish its tour de force out. And we'll go ahead and proceed with the mission. So these guys will all become free for us for the next mission, next turn. Whether this succeeds or fails or whatnot, this should be the last step for the Venus orbiter. Success. Mission's done. 2,700 prestige. All right. And... okay. There we go. And launch the mission. Monitor from mission control. You don't have to. Why is this blank? There's nothing there. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a glitch there, as there's no planet down there, no graphic down there for it. But yeah, one thing I find interesting also, I'm just kind of jumping all over the board with topics here. The Challenger crew, I think I might have mentioned that in the previous one, that they died on impact of the ocean and less so during the actual launch. That's a little bit of a glitch down there. But it looks just weird. But my one other thing, really, we're going to have another failure during launch? Fix it. Fix it. Oh, God, no. Too much talk of the Challenger flight. And the N1 has its first failure. Well, at least it wasn't our good crew, right? Gotta figure that the glitchy graphics there played a role. So the opposing faction has successfully performed the following missions. Orbital Flight Test C. Opposing faction has accomplished an Apollo orbital flight. And you lost 3 astronauts who all died. That sucks. Well, no time to mourn. We're going to have to do it again because the U.S. just did a successful launch themselves. So, sorry. I know it lost 1.3%. We're going to hope that that doesn't make a difference. And we're going to go to Orbital Test Flight 5. So, assemble now. Our crew who was working on that last flight, the Venus flight, should be available. So, I'm hoping we get a little bit better people for our A flight and flight operations. There you go. No one in the 60s anymore. So 72 is the lowest that we have. So here we go. Confirm assignments. Meanwhile, our 3 astronauts who completed the previous mission are all back. Congratulations, guys. Do you want to fly in a flight that blew up last time around? Let's find out what happens. Ooh, okay, I've got people who aren't assigned to stuff. Anyway, so one of the things I find interesting is that, well, the Soviets... This graphic glitch is bugging me a lot. One of the things I find interesting about the Soviet space program is it seems there's this kind of misnomer that, well, you know, the Soviets, they lost the race to the moon, and that was that. And, well, the Soviets did eventually give up going to the moon. They didn't do so immediately after the U.S. got there. They still tried to, you know, continue that program, but when it became clear that the N-1 rocket was just costing way too much and was not succeeding, and they had 4 failed launches, 3 of which all occurred after the U.S.'s successful landing on the moon, at that point the Soviets gave it up. So, you know, to a certain extent, it was still a prestige thing. It wasn't just a we have to beat the U.S. to the moon. It was also one of those things where it was like, this is something that we want to do for being the Soviets. And the Soviets, actually, to their credit, spent quite a lot on their space program and quite a lot on research and technology, despite the fact that we have this reputation of the Soviet Union being kind of backwards on technology and always being behind the capitalist world in technology. They certainly invested a lot in space exploration. You know, they were the first ones after the moon landing. They were still the first ones to put a space station into orbit, and Russian rocket technology and Russian rocket the Russian rocket industry, if you will, was always still very advanced, and even so that at the end of the Cold War, you know, a lot of Western designers and engineers were really impressed at a lot of the things that the Russians were doing. Their rockets were more efficient, they were more powerful in a lot of cases, not all cases, than their Western counterparts. And I just find that interesting. You know, there's this kind of stereotype, if you will, of Russian backwardness, and it doesn't, you know, in some cases it's definitely true, but definitely not all the time. So something that's interesting, and you know, I haven't read much at all on the Soviet space program, but it would probably be an interesting read or an interesting thing to research. So maybe I'll have to do that sometime. Now that my semester's over, I've got about a month of time where I can breathe, and have a little bit of time to just kind of relax, play games, and do other things here. Another failure on re-entry preparations. Catastrophic mission. 3 more astronauts dead. Join the Soviet space program where you are guaranteed to die. We need to go to the moon. But not this decade. Well, we got our max prestige bonus. Yay! What the hell? I don't even know what to do next. People keep dying. I'm losing all the reliability of that rocket. What happens if we just take a crazy flyer and go to the moon? What happens? Can we do the circumlunar? That's what happens if we do this. Assemble now. I'm crazy. We're going for it. We're going for the moon. All these 90%'s just so good. Our flight crews are so good. Everyone is so good. Just go. Go for the moon. It's only a 2-man flight. I don't care. You guys are mediocre. I don't care. Let's go for it. We're going for the moon. Let's do it. 1971. We're going to beat the U.S. to being around the moon. This isn't landing on the moon. This is just circling the moon. So, launch from mission control. We are go. Hey, we got a little picture down here, so maybe that'll be a good omen. I might be destroying my lead, by the way, but what have we lost? 9 astronauts in the last 3 videos or something like that? 6 this video. But hey, we're the Soviets, right? We're cool with losing casualties. Casualties don't matter. Isn't that the stereotype? This is kind of the Russian equivalent to the Apollo 8 launch. I don't know why we don't have the rocket capsule we're going to use when we actually go to the moon, though. Why are we just doing a 2-man space capsule? All right, it's a 17-step deployment here. We're in step 5. Everything seems to be going successfully so far. Parking orbit. Space, 91% chance to fix it. 91%. There we go. Fixed. Look at all these greens. I didn't mention this before, but on the left side here, you can see the flight controllers when a particular flight controller like the booster, retro, FIDO, Guido, when each one of these is lit up, that means that they are actively participating in the phase that we're watching. Same goes for the flight crew, which for the most part, excepting maybe like UAVs or whatever, not UAVs, spacewalks, EVAs. Pretty much they're always going to be green. Then you've got the status on the bottom right here, which, you know, when it turns yellow is when you get the problem. So lunar flyby, lunar slingshot, basically the Apollo 8 method or Apollo 13 method where they just swung around the moon. They didn't orbit, they didn't enter orbit or anything like that. So we had another problem there, but got past it as we are approaching the Earth again. Trans-Earth coast. Re-entry preparations. A success. Module separation. Another problem pops up here with a 92% chance of fixing it, and we fixed it again. So quite a few problems popping up in this mission. But, yeah. Descent. Success. Well, we just got to find them. Success. Okay, so 10,000 prestige. Holy crap. We went to the moon, folks. We didn't land on it, but we got around it. That's just crazy. No one would ever do that. Like, oh, we had back-to-back failures. Everybody died, but let's go for the moon anyway. And it worked. So what is the U.S. up to? They've done their Mars 9 Mars orbiter and mapping the surface of the Mars. Okay, so don't really care because that doesn't really get them closer to the moon. So, a whirlwind tour of the 3 crewed ballistic capsules. I don't think we had we had the 1 successful launch. So we did the lunar circumlunar orbiter. We could do the L3 Soyuz lunar lander. Why didn't I do this circumlunar flight? Do we do the lunar orbital flight now? Do we get hit with a penalty if we do that? Goals listed not been accomplished. This will... no. Okay. So I just... lame! Okay. Lunar circumlunar flight? So I don't want to take a prestige hit. Okay. So we're going to do another circumlunar flight. Hopefully this one is as successful as the last. With our space capsule. I believe this is the space capsule that blew up. So let's not kill more astronauts, okay? That's my goal, okay? Sound like a plan? No more dead astronauts. That is the official slogan of the Soviet space program now. No more dead astronauts. Vote for me. I will not kill any more Soviet astronauts. All right. So our astronauts are pretty shitty for what it's worth. They're only at 50% leadership, but we are go for circumlunar flight. The same exact mission we did last time, I think, with a different capsule. But hey. It's what we need to do. I don't know what my accent is. That's a terrible accent. I hope I'm not offending anyone. I love that kind of high angle shot of the rocket. Looks like they stole the Saturn V stages 3 and up on that rocket. The bottom booster is the only thing that doesn't look like it. Success. Ascent. Moscow, we have a problem. I know Moscow wasn't where the Space Center was located. 93% chance of fixing it, and we do! Hooray! There goes the escape tower, by the way. That's cool. Man, this is cool! This one looks cool. Why? I'm confused. What did we do with our last rocket? Was that something different? Like, what the hell? Okay. So we didn't need all these stages to get to the moon before. We just miraculously needed them now. Translunar injection. Success. Translunar coast. Look, it's the moon. Block D separation success. Lunar flyby. Look, it's craters. Success. Lunar slingshot. Success. Trans-Earth coast. Man, that Russian spacecraft looks like something from an alien world with all those little bulges and little antennae and other things coming off it. Trans-Earth coast. Re-entry preparations. Success. Module separation. Re-entry. And let's make sure the parachute comes out. Actually, interestingly enough, the Orion spacecraft, which just did its first test launch the other day, and I've talked about a few times before, actually, they put it in a high elliptical orbit. If that might be, I may be way off on the pronunciation, but they basically put it into a really high orbit, and it went up to 60, I want to say like 60,000 feet or something. No, not 60,000, 600,000 feet. I don't know. It went really, really far up. 15 times higher than when the satellite, the International Space Station is. Because what they wanted to do is they wanted to test the heat shield on a realistic reentry, so they had to get it up there so it would be coming back in kind of at a similar speed as if it was returning from Mars or the moon or some other farther off planet. So what that meant is that rocket actually went further into space than any other human capsule, even though there was no one on it, further into space than any other space capsule has gone designed for humans since the Apollo project, which is pretty cool. So the U.S. has done an uncrewed orbital LEM test flight type B, an an orbital flight with EVA duration 2 level C. Apollo spacewalk extended duration 2. So this is a race, folks. This is really developing into a race for the moon as these stupid Americans just won't stop. Just let us win. So we did a circumlunar flight. We're going to go ahead and do a lunar orbital flight, I think. What goals haven't been done? Man, lunar orbit. Okay, fine. We already did that. We really already did that. We haven't done the orbital. We need to do Soyuz uncrewed lunar orbital flight. Really? We need to do an uncrewed orbital flight? We did a lunar orbital flight, so that one's already done. Do I really have to go back and do... Do I really have to go back and do this? Really? Wait, I'm confused. So, okay. Let's go back. I guess we have to do an uncrewed lunar orbital flight. This is so much waste of time. We need to get there. We need to get the moon now. I think I'm going to be penalized because I haven't done an EVA yet. Maybe I should do that now. I've got the flight controllers to do it. But all my good ones are going to be on this stupid unmanned flight. Confirmed. Okay, so let's do something stupid. Let's do... Jump back. 2 crewed ballistic. No, we don't want to do crew. If we do... 2 crewed ballistic. I already used this thing a few times. Apparently it's been successful. And we haven't done docking either. Can we do spacewalking? Can we just jump ahead to that? Yeah. All right, we're ready. We are ready with our crappy flight crew. This is really stupid. I should really fix this because these guys are not as good as the other guys. Although they're not all that bad. I mean, like 95% for a lot of these guys. We just have a few in the 70s. 87. Oh, 67. That's bad. 57. Oh, that's bad. 78. 72. All right. And our cosmonauts are pretty shitty too. But all the good ones died. That's our new space program moniker. All the good ones died. Join the Soviet space program. All right. Uncrewed lunar orbital flight. Sure. Launch from monitor, whatever. We'll go ahead. I should just skip this one. We've already seen me go to the moon several times and get back, right? We've done 2 manned flights around the moon, and then I was like, oh my god, we need to do a manned flight to the moon, or unmanned flight to the moon, because, good lord, we haven't put men around the moon twice already. The countdown. The final countdown. I'm sorry if I seem a little bit odd or a little bit out there today, folks. I'm just really happy to be done with this semester of school. And I did just check my grades, and while they're not technically official until Tuesday, I don't think, I got 100% on my marketing final. Have no idea what I did on my stats. Probably bombed that, but marketing, at least I got 100% on the final there, so that was really cool. Awesome to do incredibly well in that class. So hopefully it balances out stats if I don't get what I want on that class. But anyway, as we head to our translunar injection, I couldn't give a damn less because there's no one on the thing. So if it blows up, great. I'd rather use up our bad luck on that right now, right? But at least it'll get the reliability of the spacecraft up a bit. 92% chance we fix it. And we do. Hurrah! Drinking might be also just a little bit the reason for my good mood. Not that drinking makes me happy. That sounds really bad. But I have had a few drinks. So after this turn, we'll probably wrap this video up right around 30 minutes. So coming up to kind of the usual end length of our videos here. Hopefully the manned launch that I'm about to do will be as successful as this unmanned launch. Granted, we haven't landed yet, so might not want to speak too soon. Descent and landing. Success. Recovery. Success. 1600 prestige, my liege. All right, so another successful launch. Let's just not kill the nine people in this turn, because this video has already killed 6. So a chance to kill 9 coming up right now with a spacewalk. Actually, no, we've only got 2 people, don't we? So we can only kill 8. Shucks. All right. Preparing mission. Mission is a go. We've used a lot of N1 rockets. This is an expensive as hell space program. Oh, we've already got a chance of failure on the launch pad. 83% chance we fix it. Warning. Warning. Systems normal. I hope that's our only glitch. We've got 16 more phases to go. I guess this would basically be like the equivalent of the Apollo 7 launch, which, although that one didn't even use the full, I guess we probably could get away without using the full N1 rocket for this. But Apollo 7 was the first manned Apollo shot that went into space. It used an Apollo Saturn V-B, not the Saturn V rocket. Did a lot to test systems and what have you. Really? Okay. I was gonna say we have a failure when we launch the stupid escape tower. That's interesting. What does the escape tower pull away if there's a shield around the actual spacecraft? That's really different than what the Americans do. Usually the American space capsule isn't shrouded, to my knowledge. Earth orbit. And this is going to be the first time we put anyone into space. We have not done a spacewalk, crazily enough, into 1970. So extra vehicular activity number 1, scientific experiments. Success. Extravehicular activity 2, reentry preparations. This is where we usually die. The orbit burn. Uh-oh. 83% chance we fix it. There we go. Fixed it. Nice. Nice. Got it. What? Those two modules look totally different. Anyway. So here we go. Descent. And success. Let's go. Let's success, please. Yay. So recovery. Hooray. All right. Successful spacewalk. Okay. So that part's done. Let's see where the U.S. is now. Hope the Americans haven't done anything more. Yes, they have not. All right. So we've done our spacewalk. We've also done our orbital flight around the moon. So that means next time around, we're going to be getting pretty darn close to landing, folks. We're going to be doing a lunar orbital manned flight. And then the one after that will probably be the LK lander test in moon orbit. Followed by the lunar landing. So we are 3 missions away, folks, from landing on the moon and seizing the moon for the USSR. The U.S. is pretty darn close also. So I guess we're going to have to see where we're going to be at. But I don't know if there's like I don't think there's an LK lander in Earth orbit option for the Soviets at all. I could be wrong. Spacewalk, automatic rendezvous, crew docking. It doesn't look like it. We might have to do a mission in here somewhere to get some docking experience, but that is for another show, folks. I appreciate you tuning in, and until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching. Lots of Soviets died, but we made lots of progress in this video. It is now Q4 of 1971. We are way behind history, but I think maybe still on par with the United States. Here's hoping that we'll see a red moon. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer signing out.